essentially, essentially we call different professionals from different fields and share their experience. So in July, we had a webinar when Professor Chakraborty and Anindoda from Springer elaborated on the paper writing skills. And today we have Dr. De from TCS Analytics and Insights to share his knowledge on technology, data science trends, and career prospects. Okay. And Dr. D actually comes with a plethora of experience, more than 2 decades of experience. He holds a PhD in econometrics, and he is playing currently advisory role to the AI and ML practice of TCS, working in the Analytics and Insights group, as I was mentioning. And he has solved many clients, solved a lot of business problems. So without further delay, let us all welcome him and let's soak into the wisdom that he's going to share with all of us. Once again, warm welcome, Prithwis, to Society for Data Science. Thanks for taking out your time on Sunday, and that goes to all the participants. And I hand over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Professor Saptarshi, for the nice introduction. Good evening, everybody. And okay, so as Professor Chakraborty, so Professor Goswami has mentioned that the topic, that because this is one of the topic when I was asked that which topic actually will be best to talk about, and I'm assuming that most of the participants are actually either students or budding data scientists. And I thought that this topic will be relevant for them. And therefore I thought that, okay, let me talk about this topic. Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll basically, let me share my screen.
You can see your screen.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes, okay. Yes.
Is it in presentation mode also, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is the topic, that technology, data science trends, and career prospects. Okay, so some of the things which I'll be discussing, maybe in the next 1 hour or so, okay, are like the importance of data science, its demand and supply, okay, and demand and supply of data scientists. Also, that what kind of business value and intelligence and the key applications in the industry that we have, what kind of skill competency that we require, and also that that most of the data scientists or the professionals are actually talking about that AutoML, okay, and what will be the impact of AutoML and demand for data scientists, whether there is going to be some kind of negative, positive, what kind of impacts will be there. So that also I'll touch upon. And to some extent, I'll touch upon artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence, ANI and AGI. So some of the professionals are also talking about that. Okay, and what will be the kind of impact in terms of demand, and also what are the emerging areas and ecosystem play, what are the other areas, okay, apart from what we are currently doing. Okay, so that also I'll talk about. And another trend I'll talk about is basically from artificial intelligence point of view, that proof of concept to production. So most of the organizations today actually are embarking, or rather they have done proof of concept, but how to move, or what is the way forward actually, what different analysts are talking about. Okay, so that also I'll talk upon, and then that continuous learning. So these are the few areas that I'll be talking about for the next 1 hour or so. Okay, so can you, I think my screen is fully visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So can anybody guess what does this curve represent? What does this graph represent?
Trend and seasonality.
Trends and seasonality. I think good.
Population growth.
Population growth, yes. Any other?
Collection of data over the years.
Good, very good. Any more guess?
Progress of any work.
Okay, that is also good. So I actually asked this question at
Positive correlation.
I'm sorry?
Maybe positive correlation, like it's the
Okay,
trend.
okay. So on your x-axis, what you have is basically, on your x-axis, what you have basically is time. Okay. So anyway, I think whatever you have, yeah, whatever you people have told are correct. Okay, correct in the sense that it's basically that it's increasing. Actually, over time, the trend is increasing. I also asked this question to one of the groups here in UK. Okay, I think few days back when I was asking them, what does this represent? Okay, so some of the answers were that digital photography versus analog photography. So it's basically it's basically increasing. Some of the participants also told that it's solar energy capacity. One more participant told that, okay, number of people infected with positive COVID virus case in wave 2. Okay, some of the answers were also Netflix market cap, Tesla share price, Amazon share price, Zoom share price, and also electric vehicles on the road. And I was basically expecting one more answer actually particularly from you participants, that price of petrol in India over the last few months. But anyway, so all these are actually correct. Whatever they told in my earlier presentation and also what you people are saying are correct. Actually, this graph the representation of this graph is basically that Google search popularity of data science over the last 5 years. Okay, and it is generated by Google. It is not it's taken from Google Trends. And this is interest over time for data science worldwide and all categories on web search. So from this, you can understand that what kind of importance and what kind of trend in data science is going on. Okay, for the last 5 years, you'll find that this is basically kind of that increasing trend. Okay, so that means that it's very, very important area. Okay, so that is what I'm actually going to talk about in the next few slides also. Okay, so now moving to the next slide, which is basically that after looking at Yeah. So you'll find that, okay, that increasing demand for data science professionals. And this is not only in India, okay, and this is across the world. You'll find that, okay, this is actually taken from some of the news reports that I came across. Okay, so data science job are exploding. Data science job are hot in India too. Okay, so it's not only in US, not only in the rest of the world, but in India too also you'll find that what kind of demand, okay, for data science professional, okay, so in India. So this is basically taken from some of the news report that I have come across. And it's basically the data and analytics is going to be the core business function for almost all the industries. That is what I wanted to mention. Okay, and as per the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the number of data scientist jobs is expected to grow 19% over the next 2 decades. Okay, and almost 3 times as fast as the average growth rate for all the jobs. Okay, so in terms of the data also we found, and also some other data which have actually got from McKinsey, okay, that United States alone faces a shortage of 190,000 people with analytics expertise and 1.5 million managers and analysts. Okay, this is actually, I'm not talking, this is actually that respected reports, okay, are talking about that. Okay, so this is for the worldwide, and also for India, a similar study actually by NASCOM mentioned about that data science demand supply gap is there in India. Okay, and there is huge demand, but the supply of data scientists are not there. So anyway, so that is the bottom line is that there is increasing demand for a data science professional in India and also the rest of the world. Now the question is, why data science? Okay, that what is the reason that why there is so much of demand? Okay, so data science actually can make positive impact to your business, to the business. Okay, it can help to achieve accelerated business outcome. It is also helping the enterprises to gain efficiency. Okay, so and also it is also impacting the top line and the bottom line of business positively. Okay, so because of that, actually, that it's gaining huge importance. So the reason is actually that the competitive advantage for companies who use it correctly. Correctly is very important, because probably you might have heard that, okay, the artificial intelligence, if it is not used correctly, what will be the adverse impact, etc. But anyway, so which I'll talk about a little more towards the end of my presentation. But this is one of the main reason actually. And also you'll find that more than 2/3 of the CXOs, okay, said that it increased revenue. It actually impacted their bottom line and the top lines. So it impacted revenue as, okay, and also some people, some of the participants, okay, as per the report in that survey, okay, that around 25% saw a significant increase in the bottom line. Okay, so as this is as per the McKinsey report. Okay, and also similar kind of report was published by Microsoft. So it actually confirmed the similar thing, that okay, in terms of the growth, in terms of the impacting the bottom line as well as top line, it has huge importance. Okay, another is basically the growing consensus that it is machine plus human. So people were thinking that, okay, it may displace the job, but no, it's actually what is being done today is actually, nobody is talking about that only machine. It's actually machine plus human. So, okay, so let me tell you one recent study which is done by MIT. So as per that MIT study, okay, and it was done on cancer detection accuracy. Okay, so when machine learning is working alone, the accuracy of the model was around 92%. Okay, and when a radiologist or the pathologist, okay, working in silos, the accuracy was around 96%. But when machine learning as well as radiologists or the pathologists are working together, when they are joining their hands, okay, the accuracy was around 99.5%. So if machine and human can join hands, ultimately the world will benefit. Okay, so also at the same time, we have heard that, okay, that some of the reports are saying that, okay, it will replace more job. Okay, and also some people also as per the report that, okay, one of the report I'll just quote. It's basically the PwC report, and it was actually done for UK. Okay, that around 7 million existing jobs might be replaced. Okay, from 2017 to 2037. But also at the same time, the 7.2 million additional jobs will be created. Okay, we also, and that report also talks about that some of the jobs which might be replaced are basically the basic level jobs. For example, data entry, kiosks, telemarketers, cashiers in a bank, okay, receptionist, tour guides, and escorts, parking lot attendants, proofreaders, etc. Okay, so that report mentioned about that some of the job will be replaced, but ultimately that net the job will be increased because of artificial intelligence, because of data, because of analytics, etc. And also one more study which is also done by the Future Jobs Report, World Economic Forum. So, okay, 75, as per that report, 75 million jobs might be displaced, but 133 million job will be created. Okay, so that is another report actually also emphasize that more jobs will be created in the areas of data science, analytics, etc. Okay, some of the other reasons are actually that, yes, the societies can benefit by applying it, particularly in healthcare, in agriculture, transportation, and these days people are also talking about sustainability. Okay, so these are the few areas where if we apply the data science, machine learning, etc., so that ultimately the society will be benefited. Okay, and therefore that almost every company has been investing on it, which clearly demonstrate the importance of data science. Okay, so these are basically the important, but the thing is that we know that, okay, that data science is very, very important. Now, what kind of analytics and data science value chain actually that we can think of, or rather we have? Okay, so in this graph, actually, you'll find that on one axis, I have put intelligence. On other axis, I have put business values and what kind of value is being delivered. So the first step of this value chain is basically the data management. Okay, data is very important because in terms of whether the standardizing the data, integrating the data, sourcing the data, ingesting the data. So all these are actually is very, very important in the value chain. The second one is basically in the value chain, the reporting and visualization. So reporting and visualization are also very important because in order to track and monitor the metrics or the KPI, okay, so it will give the summarized view. And most of the CXOs actually use this kind of reports and visualization. And also it can set up triggers, okay, triggers and alerts, etc. Okay, and we can derive visual insights from that. The third one is basically the descriptive and diagnostic analytics. So here we can identify the issues, challenges, okay, establish causal relationship, and all these things we can do. The next one is basically the predictive analytics piece. So basically forecasting scenarios, simulate models, predict outcomes, okay, whatever assumptions that you took earlier, so you can prove, you can revisit and prove, and then validate your business strategy. Okay, so that is basically the predictive analytics area. And the next one is basically that new edge analytics, which is basically that, okay, deploying artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, okay, enable real-time analytics, product innovation, so all these things. So the point I'm trying to make here is that in this value chain, that all the things are actually important. Okay, that data management, starting from data management, okay, this data management piece, particularly the data cleansing, data quality checking, data governance, etc. Okay, are very, very important, because otherwise it will be a kind of garbage in and garbage out when you'll be doing some modeling. If your data itself are not correct, okay, and then it will have the kind of recommendations or the insights that you will get may not be correct. Okay, so anyway, so the point here is that at the beginning of one's career, okay, one should be open to work in many areas, okay, and also also in many functions. And when I'm saying functions, the functions are such as supply chain, then customer analytics, sales and marketing analytics, risk and regulatory analytics, finance analytics, HR analytics, etc. Now we know the value chain. Now we are actually looking at that, what kind of applications that we might have for the industry. Okay, so nowadays actually almost all the industries are using data science and analytics, and some of the key applications that I have mentioned here, which across industries. Okay, so here, for example, retail and CPGs, we have, see, it actually started, I'll say that in my opinion, so when actually that analytics and usage of data science started, so banking and financial services in the credit card particularly, or basically the credit risk area, it started. Okay, but some of the applications, other applications are, apart from the risk management and collection analytics, some of the applications in banking and financial services are basically the marketing and customer acquisitions. Nowadays, actually usage of drone to capture the image, okay, and AI application to find out that, okay, what kind of damage has been done, okay, in any property, okay, and then insurance companies are accordingly calculating the insurance premium, etc. Okay, and then investment recommendation, algo trading, all these things are there in banking and financial services. In retail and CPG, you'll find the product recommendations, pricing and promotion optimization, marketing analytics, social media or web analytics, okay, and inventory optimization. So product recommendation is one of the things. Probably when you buy something in Amazon, for example, you have bought a cricket bat, okay, and you will get the recommendation probably next day that why don't you buy a cricket ball, okay. So all these things are actually that part of the data and analytics and data science and artificial intelligence. Similarly, for life sciences and healthcare, we have drug discovery analytics, okay, prediction of disease and their progression. Nowadays, lots of image analytics, X-ray and all CT scan, all these things are being used. And based on that, the predictions are being made. Okay, whether there will be some kind of disease or not. Okay, if disease is there, so from stage 1 to stage 3, or maybe stage 1 to the next stage, how much time will it take? All these things are being done. Another thing is basically in life sciences and healthcare industry is regulatory requirements. Okay, in this regulatory requirements, these days, a lots of, I'll say that NLP, natural language processing, techniques are being used. Okay, because most of the times, when patients or maybe the agency, when the drugs are launched, okay, so as per the statutory requirements, so they need to mention the adverse effect of that. And when the patients or maybe doctors or maybe some agency actually report that, so they send some kind of form, sometimes they send through email, sometimes they send through they write on a piece of paper and then share it. Okay, so regulatory requirements are also very, very important actually, where NLP is being used. And then virtual healthcare is, we know that it's being currently used particularly because of the COVID kind of situation. In travel, tourism and hospitality industry also, you'll find segmentation and targeting, price optimization. Of course, since it's customer facing, so chatbot, voice bot, check-in through facial recognition. Okay, all these are also being used. Asset and resource And route optimization is another area in travel and hospitality industry that is also being used. And of course, demand forecasting is there. In telecom, media, and tech industry, the movie, songs, or reading article, or personalized learning suggestions, recommendations are also being I'll say that the many use cases you will find. And also, of course, that customer service and customer experience, bot, etc. Because telecom and media also that customer, I'll say that customer end customer facing, and which is basically kind of business to customer kind of situation. Okay, so and also there also we'll find the pricing and demand management. So that is another important or key applications we find in telecom and media industry. In energy and utilities, it's again, I'll say that new prospect acquisition, predictive asset maintenance is basically another use case. Okay, and product bundling, customer analytics, churn, loyalty, etc. And for manufacturing, predictive maintenance is there because it's a kind of asset-based industry. Of course, supply chain analytics, quality control, etc. All these things are there. So, so basically that data analytics actually going to be the core business function for almost all the industries. Okay, and it was actually started, as I mentioned, it started by the financial services industry, followed by retail industry, and now more recently the new age analytics. Okay, usage has been picked up, especially by the life sciences, healthcare, and travel and tourism industry. And these technology companies, particularly these technology companies are called GAMFA. GAMFA is basically that Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and Alibaba. So these companies lead the ML and AI adoption, and they have been using this ML and AI capabilities for ML and AI capabilities most relevant to their business value chains. Okay, so these are basically the key applications across industry. But the question is, yes, what kind of skill set competency that we require? Okay, so we have discussed about the demand. We have also talked about the data science value chain and also key applications across industries. Now, what kind of skill set is required? Having the right combination of skill set is actually very, very important, and which is also essential. So organizations are actually struggling today to get the skills required for embarking on data science project. Okay, so it's basically, you'll find that if you look at the skill competency here, the framework, you'll find that there are three things. Okay, so in Venn diagram format, I'll say it's basically the intersection of three things. So I'll call a person is, in my opinion, that a data scientist expert if he has the knowledge about the three areas that is mentioned here. Okay, the software programming skill is very, very important, and that is very much required. Okay, another is basically the industry knowledge or the business knowledge or domain understanding, which is also very much required. And of course, the knowledge of quantitative subjects or the techniques. So all these things are actually required. And it's basically that ideal data scientist who is actually an expert will cover all these three. Okay, of course, I'm not talking about the soft skills. Soft skills are also very important because the creativity, problem solving skills, the critical and innovative thinking, collaboration, etc. So all these are also very important, okay, in terms of the skill competency that we are talking about. So the ideal skill should be actually an interaction of all three, and in knowledge of, for example, the knowledge of statistics, mathematics, or quantitative discipline, as I mentioned, in terms of knowledge of modern programming language, for example, the Python or Scala, Java, TensorFlow, SQL, Spark, Splunk, okay, Apache Kafka, Storm, Flink, etc. So all these things, and of course, these days cloud computation and applications tools like AWS, Azure, BigQuery, and all these things are there. And other thing is basically the domain knowledge. Okay, so domain expert is also very, very important. Sometimes we also, particularly the budding data scientist, ignored, because since AI and data science are basically contextual and purpose driven, okay, the people with industry or process knowledge have gained huge importance recently. Okay, so again, let me quote one statistics which I got from Gartner. So as per Gartner, okay, by 2024, future automation project will drive a new wave of business process redesigning. Okay, so in order to redesign, so it requires the services from firms with deep industry expertise. Okay, therefore the knowledge of industry, the domain knowledge is very, very important. Okay, and also other things which actually come across recently is the few specialists such as linguists or neuroscientists have become the most sought after skill of late because of the evolution of AI. Okay, so the knowledge of statistics and mathematics and also the knowledge of domain are very, very crucial in order to become an expert. Okay, so that is basically the thing I just wanted to mention in terms of the skill competency. Now the thing is that if you look at this slide, okay, and you'll find that yes, who wants to learn Python? You'll find that yes, everybody is interested to learn Python because they would like to learn Python. That is one of the important programming language. Also, who wants to become a data scientist? You'll find that yes, 99% of the people are saying that yes, they would like to become a data scientist. Okay, but also who wants to learn maths or stat? Okay, you will find nobody, or rather I'll say that not many people are actually interested. Okay, but in order to be an expert, I'll say that one also needs to learn the fundamentals of statistics and or mathematics, and also of course computer science. Okay, so over the years, artificial intelligence has evolved from actually statistics, statistical analysis, to machine learning techniques, now to different disciplines of artificial intelligence. For example, reasoning, then you have learning, knowledge representation, automation, natural language processing, perception, etc. Okay, so the business domain and also the knowledge of the fundamentals, basically I'll say that mathematics and statistics and computer science are very, very important. Now, why the business domain knowledge is also very important? So I'll show you here actually that this is actually taken from McKinsey report, one of the McKinsey reports. So they mentioned that because of this auto ML, so there will be a change in the demand. If you look at the demand of or the effort today and also effort tomorrow in terms of the pipeline or the different steps that we do in data science, starting from business understanding to data understanding, and then data preparation, then modeling, evaluation of the model, and finally the deployment. Okay, so as the efforts today, you'll find that the data scientists expertise is okay. You'll find that number of people required for data science area and also the business domain area. Okay, but if you look at the effort tomorrow, due to the application of auto ML, you'll find that okay, that data scientists are heavily impacted by auto ML. Okay, so auto ML changes the mix of talent needed. The auto ML may also require, for example, in this example, auto ML may require 9 data scientists instead of 21. So now actually what we do, basically we need to compare the reduction in data, compare the reduction in demand between data scientists vis-a-vis the people with business domain knowledge. Okay, so due to the applications of auto ML as mentioned here, okay, so the revised demand for data scientists is only 25% of what it was yesterday. Okay, and particularly for the middle layers, and middle layers is basically the data understanding, data preparation, the modeling, and the evaluation. Okay. Whereas the updated demand for domain knowledge folks is only, the reduction was only 50%. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the importance of domain knowledge. Okay. So, so all three areas which I mentioned earlier in my, in the competency framework are very, very important and crucial. Okay. Now, the next question is that, do you think that AutoML might reduce the demand for data scientists in the near future? Or is the rise of AutoML going to make data scientists extinct in the coming year? Okay, so that might, that kind of questions one might ask, or in fact, the professionals are actually, the data scientist professionals are actually asking today. Okay, so here, this is actually this process, the process is actually taken from Microsoft, that this is basically that AutoML process that I am talking about. Okay, so on the left hand side, you will find that there is that user inputs. That user inputs actually give the data set, what kind of target metric, what kind of constraint in terms of the time, cost, etc. And then in between is basically the automated machine learning process that is being run, and several iteration that we are doing in terms of featureization, in terms of algorithm, in terms of parameter selections, etc. And based on that, actually, that's we select the best model. Okay, of course, in terms of the parameters that you are giving, whether it's accuracy or some other parameter. Okay, so this is basically the function of AutoML. Now, that automated machine learning actually, as you mentioned, that it's accelerated, that it's, of course, it's accelerating the ML algorithm selection process by automating the testing of a wide range of ML algorithm, okay, against a given data set, and to determine that which ML algorithm are actually best fit for that data. Okay, so now many data scientists, many data science practitioners particularly, and the professionals have their views on the rise of AutoML and also the change in the role of data scientists. So because of AutoML, that different professionals are saying that, oh yes, there will be change of role. Okay, there might be reduction in the demand and all these things. So budding data scientists actually who believe their role is actually in algorithm selection or hyperparameter tuning or showing the model accuracy, okay? Or in other words, running the ML codes, using the pre-existing libraries, or not in domain understanding or data integration or ingestion, or doing EDA, exploratory data analysis, or feature engineering or data engineering. So I'd request them to wake up, okay? Because one needs to learn the basics of the ML algorithm, not just how to apply it, okay? So that he or she can customize it for the specific needs. One also needs to understand the way the part of the data, the different parts of the data science. Okay, one needs to define the business problem. One needs to try to find out the right data which might be used or avoided. One needs to understand the data generation processes. Okay, also basically the bigger picture, the business process from the business requirements and also the analytics solution building point of view. So all these things are very, very important. And therefore, that one also needs to understand the business through basic data analysis. That, okay, so that basic data analysis is also very important. And one also needs to have a problem solving skill, the soft skill that I have mentioned earlier. Okay, so therefore the bottom line is that learn the fundamentals of statistics, mathematics, and computer science. Practice explaining the complex jargon in simple English, and switch from observations or recommendation to maybe actions, focus on business value and also the positive impact creation. Okay, and therefore data scientists need to look at the bigger picture. So that is what is required. Okay, and if you ask me that, okay, whether AutoML is all or not, because if we apply AutoML, that what kind of whether it's perfect or not. So that even what I can mention is that, so data science is actually beyond AutoML, okay? So AutoML has its own limitation and challenges, and some of the challenges and limitation also I'll mention. That all of the algorithms are not yet available. Okay, so for example, I was going through that Microsoft Azure, okay, and okay, what kind of algorithms are there in Microsoft AutoML, and I found that there are very few algorithms, and also most of the data, okay, most of the time it deals with the tabular data. So that is another, the structured data actually it deals, and today we have structured, unstructured, okay, and so many types of data. So therefore, it cannot decide on its own that what is the target variable for a given problem. Projects also doesn't end just by running through an AutoML pipeline. If you just run that, okay, and the job is done, so that is also not true. Okay, and also that AutoML has its own, as I mentioned, that challenge of higher accuracy level. Okay, so if you leave it the entire thing on AutoML, so maybe you may not get the accuracy, the kind of accuracy that you are actually trying to achieve. So therefore, then are we saying that AutoML is not required? So what I'll say is that yes, AutoML has some benefits as well, because it is useful when someone needs to showcase an MVP, that minimum viable product, or maybe AutoML doesn't, okay, provide the auto ethics in the face of potential bias and variance that we are talking about. Okay, so AutoML cannot do all this thing. Okay, and therefore what is required, okay, it also doesn't provide the auto insights. So all this insight generation and all these things will be done by the data scientist. Moreover, in order to override any questionable decision, okay, which are made by the machines, so data scientist intervention is also required. Okay, so as computerization actually changed the profile of the workers in the 1990s. Okay, so without making them unemployed, so AutoML might also change the profile of the human profile of the data scientist. So that is what I'd like to mention here. I see, in my opinion, if you ask my opinion, what I'll say, that I'll see this as a kind of support or complementary to the data scientist. So it will basically enhance the productivity and efficiency of the data scientist, in my opinion. And it will become, so, or the data scientist will become kind of full stack data scientist, like full stack developer. And data scientists will write less code, spend more time in deployment, monitoring, and customization of business, and of course, several other areas related to data science. Okay, so this is actually, so the main or the important thing is that, in my opinion, it's basically enhance the productivity, and it will act as a kind of complementary to the data scientist. Now, people are also talking about that artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence, okay, which might impact the future demand for data scientists. Okay, so, and some of the data practitioners and the professionals are also started saying that, yeah, it may impact. Okay, and now before actually proceeding further, let me summarize, or rather, let me tell you what exactly is artificial narrow intelligence and what exactly is artificial general intelligence. Okay, so in artificial narrow intelligence, so intelligence gets built to serve a specific purpose. Okay, and it tries to excel in the specific task. Okay, it cannot do all the tasks, or even if it tries to do, okay, some more than one task, it may not excel. So if I have to draw the similarity between the organisms, okay, let me give some examples. For example, gymnast. Okay, gymnast may not be able to predict that what kind of weather will be there. However, the plants have the superior ability to perform the cost benefit analysis of weather or the environmental changes. Okay, but also at the same time, the plants cannot move like gymnast. Okay, so that means plants are good at in predicting the changes in environment. Gymnasts are good actually in moving their bodies. Similarly, music composer may not be able to navigate in forest, whereas animals actually who can navigate without any maps. But also same time, okay, the animals cannot compose music. Similarly, in the AI system, the AI system, okay, that defeated the grandmaster, okay, we all know that cannot do autonomous driving, okay, and autonomous car also at the same time cannot perform that weather prediction, and weather forecasting system cannot be used for ATM testing. Okay, so the evolution of AI from statistical, as you mentioned, from statistical analysis to machine learning techniques to different disciplines, okay, so exactly the similar kind of pattern of being prodigy in one single task. Okay, the single task excellence, so that is very much important, that it is basically is due to the purposiveness, or maybe it's because that it's kind of specialization in their area. Okay, so that is basically that these are the some of the examples that I have given in artificial narrow intelligence. Now on the other side, you will find that, okay, there is artificial general intelligence, okay, and AGI, which is not just about excellence in a single task, it is about maximizing the future freedom of actions. Okay, in the field of AI, you will find that the discipline of AGI is aimed at creating consciousness. So consciousness is very, very important. And also at the same time, as you mentioned, that, okay, that not only in excellence in single task. Okay, so while AI, okay, helps to excel in operational and tactical decision making and related tasks, but AGI actually helps to perform the strategic decision making. So strategic decision making and creating consciousness, as actually all these things are very, very important for AGI. Okay, so although AGI is actually still in research stage, okay, so its outcome can be visualized, maybe some use case. Okay, so it's not yet implemented, but people are talking about that what kind of use case that AGI can do. Okay, one of the examples that I'm going to mention is basically that finance AGI system. When I'm saying finance AGI system, is like the whole finance department of a company. Okay, the company actually doing the entire set of work. So it will perform the task, okay, that AI will also perform, such as invoice scanning with OCR engine. It can also do getting the invoice data in the system. It can also do the quality checks of the data, with general ledger reconciliation. It can also do supplier scoring and contract assignment. It can also analyze the procurement data. Okay, it can also, if there is any pending payment collection, so AGI will try to give some kind of, or send some kind of alerts to the customer. Okay, then investment recommendation to the treasury, where to invest and how much to invest and all these things. Okay, so all these things actually can be done, but the differentiation with AGI is in doing all this simultaneously. Okay, so that is basically the basic difference, and being a partner entity with whom the human can interact and strategize. Okay, so this is actually very, very important, okay, in terms of the differentiation, etc. So that means if AGI is coming, so that means the demand for data scientists will be reduced. Again, I'll express my view here actually, that see, what is AGI? AGI is being a partner entity and is expected to work shoulder to shoulder with humans. Okay, it's not replacing human at all or completely. So AGI can be easily biased. So another problem is that, so it can be, I mean, it can get biased actually. And if it is biased actually, it can do lots of incorrect things, or it may get influenced to, it may cross ethical boundaries. Okay, and it can also probably that, what I'll say that because of all this reason, the role of human is going to be more sensitive, okay, while dealing with artificial general intelligence. Okay, so AGI will need to be fence guarded. Otherwise, there might be some kind of problem actually in the future in terms of governance. Okay, so that is what I'll say. Also at the same time, it might be theoretically possible today that, okay, to replicate the functioning of a human brain or the kind of work that we are doing today. Okay, so it is not practicable as of now. Okay, people are talking about, and all these things are actually, the AGI is actually in the lab, okay, in the experimental stage. And therefore, the capability wise, we are leaps and bounds away from actually achieving AGI. However, time wise, if you ask me, so I'll say that the rapid rate at which that AI is developing and evolving the new capabilities particularly, so it is not far away, probably the inflection point we are going to reach. And therefore that AI research community may surprise us maybe one day that, okay, the AGI is there, which are actually it's the kind of fiction today. So anyway, so in this context also, I would like to mention, I would like to quote one survey, okay, which I have come across, which is published by AI Multiple. Okay, it was published in September 2020. Okay, and the expected emergence of AGI will be by 2060. Okay, so as per their prediction, so AGI will be actually, which is basically another 40 years, okay, from now. And I don't think that there is that AGI is going to impact the demand for data scientists in the future. Okay, so that is basically my view on AGI. But also at the same time, I would like to mention that what kind of demand may come from other areas. Okay, so if you look at this slide, actually, that I have mentioned 3 numbers, but before that, I would like to mention that, okay, the demand for data scientists is going to go up. I'm actually mentioning, and also why it is actually going to go up, because the adoption of data science and AI has been increasing. Okay, and this is because that organizations are actually moving from POC, because they are what they are doing today, or most of the organization currently, is they are actually exploring what AI is, and some of the use cases they have done, which is basically the proof of concept type. And also at the same time, the more demand is coming from the industry. Okay, but before that, actually, let us understand that what is holding back AI, ML, and data science adoption. Why only the organization, why the organizations today are doing POC? So what kind of reasons, what kind of challenges, what kind of problems are there? Okay, the adoption of AI is lower today. Why? Because that it's going to increase, of course, it is going to increase in the coming days, but the adoption is lower due to its nature. What is the nature? The nature is basically that it's considered as a black box. Okay, its nature is kind of black box. And the adoption is lower due to challenges such as explainability, fairness, then you have accountability, you have transparency, you have privacy and security, you have inclusiveness, you have reliability and safety. So all these things are there actually. So because of that, most of the organization are thinking twice, and also enabling machine, okay, to make decision may expose a business to significant risk. Okay, according to them, okay, so it may actually provide, it may create some kind of significant risk, including the reputational risk. They may think that, okay, there might be some kind of problem in terms of reputation, maybe data privacy, health and safety issues, and all these things. So auditable and traceable, explainable AI is actually what is required. Okay, so if it is there, so actually I'm sure that demand for data scientists is going to go up. Okay, and that is basically will be the foundation. Okay, so now what is the current status of that? Okay, we are talking about explainability, black box, ethics, and all these things. So researchers actually are working on how to make the model more explainable and responsible, and also on how to avoid privacy issues, which I mentioned. For example, the Microsoft has, let me give some example. For example, Microsoft has something called explainer. Okay, it has also something called differential privacy. So people or the researchers have started using that. Okay, and also data scientists have already started working in this area, leveraging several contemporary techniques. For example, some of the techniques called LIME, or okay, LIME, SHAP. LIME is basically local interpretable model agnostic explanation. Then you have another technique called layer-wise relevancy propagation, LRP. Then we have SHAP. SHAP is basically that sharply additive explanation, etc. So, okay, so I'm basically optimistic that to see some good progress in the coming years. Okay, it's going to happen. Okay, because the people have started exploring, people have started doing research, and people have started applying this. Okay. Okay, so anyway, and also at the same time, you'll find that data scientists have also started analyzing models with something called a FairLearn. Okay, FairLearn is a Python package. Okay, some of you might be aware that. Okay, so one can use it to analyze models and evaluate disparity between your predictions and also the prediction performance for one or more of the sensitive features that we are talking about. Okay. And also, this is not all. So another reason that why the organizations are actually holding back. Okay, they are not using AI ML in a large scale. Okay, is that okay? But it's because of the lack of proper infrastructure. And when I'm saying lack of proper infrastructure, because some companies do not have proper infrastructure in terms of the platform or the hardware like GPU. Okay, or the cloud to run computationally intensive algorithm. Okay, but of course some of the organizations are also facing some challenges in terms of the right skill to run all these things. Okay, so these are basically the few challenges, but in spite of all these challenges, okay, so what Gartner has mentioned, as per the Gartner, okay, by end of 2024 you will find that 75% of enterprises will shift from piloting, which is basically the POC, to operationalizing AI. So POC to production, that 75% will be 75% of the organization actually by 2024 will move into that. So another report. This is as per Harvard Business Review research. Okay, so as per them, the 3 out of every 4 executives believe that if their company doesn't scale up AI in the next 5 years, say they might even get out of business entirely. Okay, so that is also the kind of, this is actually all the CXO level people are talking about. Okay, so anyway, so and also as per IDC is another renowned analyst. So they have mentioned that nearly 80% of analytics services buyers are on the AI adoption journey today. Okay, and with most organization in either it's piloting or actually emerging strategy stage. Okay, so so that means that okay, in the coming years there is lots of demand for the data scientists, and I believe that future is bright. Okay, for the data scientists. Anyway, so apart from that, there are some other areas actually, that emerging areas of the ecosystem play, which are also very, very important. As I mentioned earlier, that if the budding data scientists think that, okay, they would like to do only the modeling, okay, so that will not work, because the end-to-end, that big view, the big picture, okay, that they have to acquire actually. Okay, so anyway, so the other areas that I would like to mention here is basically the emerging areas and ecosystem play. So data science, okay, data science cannot play alone or in silos. Okay, so what they have to do, or the trend is that, so they have to play along with, for example, edge computing. They have to play along with 5G and IoT, cyber security, blockchain, cloud computing, and quantum machine learning and quantum AI, because that all these areas actually data science have its own applications. Okay, however, today the data science is yet to get close to the edge computing. Okay, and edge computing is which basically refers to the kind of the data processing near the source closer to the device, okay, at the edge of the network. So that is also is basically evolving, and therefore I believe that there will be lots of scope for data scientists to analyze the data on a real-time basis and immediately. Okay, the quantum AI and ML is interdisciplinary field, okay, that focuses on building quantum algorithm for improving computational tasks within AI, okay, including subfields like machine learning. The entire concept of quantum enhanced AI algorithm is still in conceptual stage, okay, and research domain, I'll say, and therefore it is actually it's undiscovered today. Okay, so certain functions I believe that related to AI involve, for example, that extensive research and optimization. Okay, where that the data scientists can be utilized. Data scientists have the required kind of skill. Okay, and also a few research scientists, okay, are of the opinion that quantum algorithm can be put to use by AI system to perform this kind of optimization and the research kind of task. So anyway, so currently some of the, for example, let me give some example. For example, pharma. Yeah, in pharma industry, you'll find that particularly in pharma and supply chain area, that some of the pharma and life sciences company, you might be aware that, okay, they have been trying their hard to discover the vaccine, okay, for COVID-19, which is a kind of short, I'll say that within a short periods or short duration of time, okay, that they are trying to discover that. Okay, I believe that, see, if quantum computation had been there, probably it would have been made faster, because see, within the entire process, in the drug discovery, you will find that starting from discovery phase to the pharma companies, okay, that pharma companies need to take into consideration several permutation and combination, okay, permutation combinations of molecules and other factors. They also need to match and compare molecules and extract information. Okay, so and as much deeper as possible. Okay, and therefore, and all these things are actually computationally intensive. And I believe, okay, so these life sciences in companies need to run numerous chemical formulation, okay, and biological processes to discover that drug. Okay, and therefore I believe that quantum computation can make the entire process faster, and it will also be cost effective and enable pharma companies to get the medicines to the people in a much faster way. But anyway, so all these potential things are there actually, but we are actually far from what we are thinking or from this kind of a futuristic view. So apart from this, okay, I would also like to mention that quantum computation has the capability to scale up production scheduling, okay, particularly in the manufacturing industry. Okay, so to identify the optimal outcome, okay, so quantum computation can run multiple simulation, of course, along with AI and machine learning. And moreover, the quantum inspired or optimization algorithm can help improve the efficiency of the supply chain. How it can improve? Because in the supply chain area, you will find that what kind of carriers or vehicles at what time, what will be the type of carrier, what will be the size of carriers, what will be the size of vehicles, okay, from where, from which warehouse, okay, and also from which distribution center to load, which distribution center to pick up, when to pick up, what will be the quantities, what will be the timing, frequency, unloading strategy, and so on. So all this permutation and combination, I believe that quantum ML and AI will be helping us. So anyway, so as AI actually started giving okay, one more area, okay, apart from that, the quantum ML and AI. So another application which I find is basically the cyber security area. Okay, so data scientists has a huge role to play in that area as well. So AI has actually started giving chief information security officers an impressive new advantage okay, in the going efforts to improve cyber security. Okay, so data has become more accessible now, and since more accessible, more phishing and cyber attacks, etc., all these things are happening. And I believe that AI-powered cyber security is being used and can be used to spot the digital activity or abnormal transaction or abnormal activities. Okay, so that way also it can also find out data science's own applications and usage. Okay, so and of course IoT blockchain are okay, they go hand in hand in glove. Okay, so in IoT and blockchain also we have enough use cases and we have enough applications. So basically the point I'm trying to make is that it is very important to bear in mind that all these trends are not necessarily independent to each other. It's basically ecosystem play. Okay, but rather from the support base of the other as well as work in tandem with the human intervention. Okay, so that is that the working in tandem in the ecosystem is very important. So that is the point I would like to mention. And also one more thing that which is also evolving is basically that that important aspect, that integration with the whole system. Okay, so that is actually, it's for example, let me give one example. For example, the old age home. For old age care actually, so not only the care is required, your security is also required, the home services are also required, the health, financial, medicals, meals, etc. All these things are actually required along with care. Okay, that integration is actually playing a role. Another example is, I think it will be from travel and transportation, travel industry, ticketing services, okay? Ticketing services, flight, taxi booking, then food, financial, hotel, insurance, etc. So it's another area actually, which is relatively unexplored. And I think data scientists along with its ecosystem player has a huge role to play. Okay, so these are few emerging areas. Now, also at the same time, what we are finding that new use cases are also emerging where there is actually huge scope for applications of data science. So let me share my experience around, I think 6-7 years back. So nobody was talking about HR analytics or human resources analytics. So people were talking about the risk analytics or the fraud analytics, and of course, sales and marketing related analytics. Okay, and then supply chain analytics and finance analytics, etc. were there. But HR analytics was not there. Similarly, that now the organizations have been using it. Similarly, sustainability and climate change analytics is one of the emerging and upcoming areas. Okay, how data science can be applied to tackle or offset or reduce the adverse impact of climate change. So lots of use cases are actually there. So some of the use cases that I have mentioned here, the climate risk on business, responsible sourcing when particularly the retail industry is sourcing their products, whether it's correctly sourcing on when I'm saying correctly, I'll give one example also. So, and another area is basically the net zero modeling, because most of the organizations today have their goal for sustainability. Most of the countries are also following that. Okay, and therefore what they are planning to do is basically that through net zero modeling, by when they will be able to achieve this. So these kind of things are also going on. So another area is basically supplier risk. Energy management is another important area. Responsible lending, which is basically when banks are actually financing, whether it's actually being done in a correct way. And when I'm saying correct way, that whether, for example, it is giving loan to the energy and oil and gas industries. Okay, the companies who are in oil and gas industries. So now banks actually have started checking that what is their view or what kind of compliance that they have in terms of climate change in terms of that emissions. Okay, so all these things are there. Okay, and of course, carbon bank or carbon trading is another area. So, okay, so some of these analytics, okay, which can be done, for example, in emission predictions and net zero services, okay, can be done are, for example, emission forecasting, digital twins, what if kind of scenario or simulation, okay, net zero pathways, okay, and return on investment, okay, and also that what are the emission drivers and factors. So all these things can be done. Another example is basically that electric vehicle battery life prediction and how it can be enhanced, okay, so that it has positive impact on the environment. Renewable wind power generation prediction is another example. So responsible sourcing, okay, that's one of the examples I just wanted to give is basically the child labor usage or not. For example, when retailer are sourcing the clothes, okay, whether when the manufacturers are manufacturing the clothes, whether child laborers have been used or not. So that kind of thing actually is checked, okay, and based on that actually that retailers source the product. Okay, so these are few of the emerging areas, and because of this actually I think it's that future of the data scientists are, in my opinion, are bright. But the main thing what they need to do is basically continuous learning. Okay, they have to be kind of lifelong student, or it is not actually for once, it is for lifelong, because technology, data and analytics landscape are changing very fast. If you look at during the last 15-20 years particularly, okay, it's a huge impact, okay, on the technology, data and analytics. Okay, so therefore one needs to keep continuously update himself or herself. Another area I believe, or rather, I'll not say another area, is basically that based on my experience. Okay, when I started my career, so I started programming in Fortran. Now I switched to Sajam, okay, and then I switched to SPSS, then SAS, then R, and then Python today, and then people are talking about Julia, etc. Okay, so all these things are actually evolving, and therefore it's a continuously updated, okay, himself or herself is basically very important. And similarly for statistical and mathematical model, okay, when I started my career, I used to do that statistical and mathematical models. Then I switched to machine learning and deep learning and artificial intelligence. Now people are talking about that all these things, if we can do it on cloud, and then quantum computing and quantum ML. So all these things I have mentioned. Okay, so basically continuous learning is one of the important thing, and I'll say that very crucial things. But see, if one can learn continuously, because it's that the technology, etc., all these are changing, and therefore I believe that future of data scientist is actually bright. But anyway, so I'll basically end my presentation with that what kind of analytics and data science landscape is there in India. Okay, so you'll find in India, you'll find that there are captives, there are IT, KPO, BPO, consulting firms, and then your big data pioneers, then niche player. Okay, so they have their captives, they have their own captives, and there is huge demand for that. In IT, BPO and KPO industry also, there is not only that role related to data science or analytics, but technology and data science is required by all the industries, okay? And there are requirements in business level, okay, account level, operation level. For example, IT, BPO and KPO industry, what is required, consulting firm, that, okay, there are other roles, okay, related to analytics and data science apart from data scientist, okay? Such as sales, they have sales role, they have pre-sales role, they have business development role, team management, account management, okay, client relationship management, client account mining, consulting and advisory, strategy consulting, and of course, delivery related. Okay, so the future is, in my opinion, is bright. The mantra is actually continuous learning. Okay, so with this, I'll stop here. And if there are any questions, actually, I'll be happy to take Professor Saptarshi. Hello.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Prithwis, for your wonderful presentation. I think a lot of insights, a lot of very interesting slides. So thank you, thanks a lot. I am sure that lot like the AutoML part and how you explained the need of uh, or especially I like that the business value part, how with different phases the business value actually comes in. So yes, I mean participants feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions directly. We can be there for another 5 minutes to take your questions. Okay, so
Python is the most preferable language for data science.
See, as of now is yes, I'll say that in terms of advantages, okay, one of the biggest advantage based on my experience is that most of the organizations today actually moving away from SAS to Python. Why? Because of two reasons mainly. One is the cost. Cost of SAS license is huge. Okay, and therefore, and on the other side, that Python is actually it's free of cost because it's actually open source. So that is one. The second reason is that so it has Python has its huge applicability, wide applicability compared to SAS, okay, and other statisticals language. Okay. However, recently the people have also started talking about that probably Python will not be there for maybe after 5-7 years, because Julia is another programming language which is coming up, and it has actually that why people are saying that it has different characteristics and it can defeat Python. But to answer your question, yes, today Python is one of the important and key languages, okay, in terms of analyzing your statistical modeling or artificial intelligence modeling or machine learning modeling.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Prithwis, I have a question. So, one of the sessions I was attending the other day, so people also use a lot of post validation, right? So after the models have given prediction on maybe a validation set, maybe a test set, right? They still analyze and see if there is some pattern in the error. Okay. Frankly, I have not used that so much. Okay. But like this post validation, how much it is used, and can these also be done through AutoML?
Based on my experience, because I was actually, since all these things are new, I was also exploring, and then I was basically looking at that what Microsoft and AWS, the pioneer actually, okay, and Google, etc. are doing. So I also haven't found much, but in my opinion, as of now, no, that post validation and all these things actually, it will not be completely left to machine, although that MLOps is another area actually people have started using or rather talking about it. And people are saying that, okay, if we use MLOps, AIOps or DataOps, okay, all these things together, the entire process will be faster. But I think, okay, that's the bottom line is that it cannot be left to the machine completely. And human intervention, and when I'm saying human intervention, is basically the intervention by the data scientists are definitely required.
Okay. I think that's like gives a lot of insight. I see one person has raised hand. I mean, you can unmute yourself and ask question. You don't need to really raise hand. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Goswami. Myself, Dr. Vaidya. I'm actually the professor in the computer Science College, IMCC. I and Amol sir has working together with SPPU. Actually, I would like to ask, I understand all the opportunities and other things. I would like to ask the basic, what modules are required to be taught for postgraduate computer students for the data science. So these are the basic things that we must teach them, because I'm a faculty, so I am more interested in the teaching.
Okay.
Over to you, Desa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's basically, in my opinion, what I'll say that the three things, again, I'll emphasize that any one programming language, okay, and I'll definitely recommend, based on my experience, is Python. Second is that the basics of statistics and mathematics, because that is basically the foundation. And third is basically that domain knowledge. Okay, but domain knowledge, I think, even if it is left out, because that is not required at this moment, but and it can be gained, and it can be gained quickly. So in terms of the machine learning model, the basic model starting with your, of course, that basic statistics, starting with your correlation to even, okay, the regression, okay, all these things starting with regression, and then of course moving into your logistic regression and XGBoost, random forest, and so many other newer things. And then I think, since it's actually for the college students, so I'll not suggest at this moment probably that deep into the deep learning and related stuff, or computer vision related stuff, but to some extent that knowledge can be provided, that the focus mainly will be on machine learning, okay, starting with statistics and basic algorithms.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, hello.
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes,
Shruti,
sir.
you are audible. Yeah.
Yes, sir. What kind of skills we have required for that data science?
Sorry, what kind of
skills? What kind of skill sets for this branch?
For data science, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I mentioned now that, see, apart from your soft skill, okay, and in soft skill, because see, problem solving skill is, okay, so that is one of the important things, okay, critical and innovative thinking, okay, and of course collaboration. Apart from the soft skill, actually, so you require the three kinds of skill. One is, of course, the software programming knowledge. Second is the knowledge of statistics, mathematics, etc., computer science. And if you have domain knowledge, however, it is very difficult to get a person who can satisfy all four, okay, starting from soft skill to your programming knowledge, and then statistics and mathematics skills and domain knowledge. And therefore, if one can satisfy, okay, any two of them, okay, particularly I'll say that software kind of skill, and also that knowledge of statistic quantitative subject skill, okay, the other two can be picked up, okay, quickly, and you can learn over the years. Okay, so my suggestion will be that pick up the first two, which is basically the software programming, as well as the knowledge of quantitative subjects and techniques.
And sir, what kind of project we have to done for this? Means like a chatbot or news fraud detection, like that. What kind of project?
Oh, there are lots of projects actually in terms of the fraud. Okay, so I do not have the statistics at this moment. Okay, but in terms of the fraud, starting, okay, earlier I actually started for your check frauding, starting from the check frauding to even transaction frauding and all these things, and then credit card frauding. Nowadays, even the fraud is happening in other areas. For example, cyber security that I have mentioned. Also, fraud is happening in not only in banking and financial area. I'll say the malpractice is happening. For example, that shrinkage in retail industry, okay, the shoplifting in retail industry, that is also considered as fraud. Even I think in telecom industry, that's SIM related fraud, okay, swipe of SIM. So that is also considered as actually kind of malpractice, and that is also considered as fraud. So fraud has not only applications in banking and financial industries, but in other areas also. And it has huge applications. So probably in case you are interested, okay, I can share my, maybe through LinkedIn, I can share my email ID, okay, and we can talk offline.
Okay, sir. Okay, sure, sir. Because sir, I have I have do some courses R, Python, and now I'm recently learning to Julia language. So that's why I'm too interested to know the roadmap of data science.
Sure, definitely we can connect offline, and definitely I can guide and direct you if
Sure, sir.
required.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I could not catch your name.
Suchit.
Suchit.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us
Yes,
more
you are.
about the big data part, big data analytics part, where all those big data technologies such as Hadoop and all are needed, like even Scala, all that are coming up recently. So, can you tell us more about that and scope of that?
Yes. As I mentioned that, okay, so all these things are required, particularly in big data area, okay, and of course the Python is basic. Okay, if you think that, okay, I'll do big data without Python, which may not, as I can say in today's world, okay, that which may not be possible, because then once you learn actually Python, then you can probably move into Scala, then you can move into Spark, Splunk, Kafka, and Storm, Flink, etc. Because all these are actually, when we are talking about big data, so all these things are actually being done on a real-time basis, and therefore the Splunk, Apache Kafka, Storm, Flink, etc. are very required. Okay, and also on that big data on cloud. Okay, so cloud competition and applications tool, as I mentioned, that maybe one of the hyper cloud service provider, for example, either AWS, okay, Amazon Web Services, or maybe Azure, or maybe the GCP or Google. Okay, so then probably, yeah, you can learn in this area, and that how it is being applied on cloud on a real-time basis, you will also get to know.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think we have kind of overshot the time already. So we were kind of wanted to end by 7:30, but that's all right. I mean, the questions probably shows the enthusiasm Prithwis has been able to generate. So thanks once again for that. And I would also like to tell you about Society for Data Science. So this is an ecosystem working for quite some time to nurture the communities here through different activities. One of being the webinar which you are being part of. Okay, so you might be knowing already about our flagship conference ICDMI, right? So I would request you to go through them, be part of this large data science family. You can get in touch with any one of us. You have all our social coordinates available. Okay. With that, I think we will close today's session. Yes,
especially
Sir,
highlight our
LinkedIn
tutorial
profile.
programs, right, in ICDMI for the upcoming students and young engineers to get enough knowledge in our tutorial sessions.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so to all who are, that means I think we should thank Dr. Prithwis for this excellent and very what I can say, okay, he has covered lot many things, and so like this we are trying to, so the culture of our ICDMI, if you just look at our culture of ICDMI is to host key industry persons as well as from academia, okay, researchers from academia, okay, in the very exciting topics of data science, right? And all of you who are interested to get into this activity, connect with Saptarshi to know about the tutorials what will be happening in the ICDMI 2022, and those tutorials will be specially focusing on to get trained on the skills which are required to become a data scientist. That's all. Yeah, Saptarshi, you can continue.
Yeah. So I think yes. I mean, we were